Hello, good morning. Thanks for joining me. We're going to get started with a yoga practice in just a second. My name's Joella. A few things before we get started. As always, please make sure that you're listening to your body. So if anything doesn't feel right for you, please make sure that you're taking a modification and just noticing if anything doesn't feel right. You can feel free to skip any postures or anything that I cue. Also, if you're starting a new exercise routine, please make sure, especially if you have any underlying conditions, that you've checked with your healthcare provider before starting. So we're going to start on our backs today. So go ahead and just come down to a comfortable position. And let's go ahead and start with our feet flat to the floor, knees bent, feet hip distance apart and parallel to each other. Hands just by your side. Just take a moment here, maybe close your eyes. And just begin to bring your awareness to your breath. Nice deep, even inhales and exhales. Beginning to deepen that breath a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring our right hand to our belly and left hand to your chest. And then take a nice deep inhale. Feel it rise in your belly, your chest, your throat. And then exhale, throat, chest, belly. And again, belly, chest, throat. Exhale, throat, chest, belly. Let's do two more like this. Belly, chest, throat. Exhale first from your throat, chest, belly. Last one, inhale, belly, chest, throat. Exhale, throat, chest, belly. You can move your hands back down to your side. Just continue to breathe like this. Nice, even inhales and exhales. Beginning to add some movement. Exhale here and inhale, lifting your hips up toward the sky. And exhale, hips back down to the floor. Taking a full inhale to move them back up. And then your full exhale to bring them back down. Continuing to move like this. Pressing into all four corners of your feet, lengthening your tailbone towards the back of your knees. Keeping your knees pointed out directly from your hips so they're not falling in or out. On your next inhale, adding arms to the movement. So as you press into your feet, arms come up and over. And exhale, arms come back down to your side as your hips return back to the floor. Pressing through your feet, lengthening your tailbone, broadening through your collarbone, outer upper arms wrapping in as you bring them up and over. Exhale, all the way down. Let's do one more. Inhale, arms up and over. And exhale, hips back down to the floor, arms back to your side. Let's go ahead and hug your right knee into your chest. Keeping both hips evenly on the floor, so your sacrum is on the floor. Then let's extend our right leg toward the ceiling, so you can interlace your hands behind your hamstrings here, or just wherever you can comfortably reach. Just gently beginning to open up our hamstrings. If this feels okay for you, you can extend your left leg down your mat. And think of that leg as if it were in Tadasana mountain pose. So it's nice and straight, flexing your foot, engaging your quads, so pressing your inner thigh down towards the floor. One more breath here. And gently lower your right leg back to the floor. Go ahead, hug your left knee into your chest. So right foot is on the floor, knee pointing up toward the sky. And then extend your left leg toward the ceiling. Again, beginning to open up your hamstrings, the back of that left leg, interlacing your hands, just wherever you can comfortably reach. extending your right leg down the mat, toes and knees pointing up to the ceiling, thigh pressing down towards the floor. One more breath here. Return the sole of your left foot back to the floor. Bend your right knee, bringing your right foot back to the floor. And go ahead and extend your arms towards the ceiling here, and then your legs up toward the ceiling. We're going to inhale here, exhale, lifting your chest, shoulders up off the floor, and then release your left leg toward the floor, about an inch off the floor. Twisting, arms come to the outside of the right leg. Inhale, everything comes back down. Exhale, lifting up. Right leg lowers down. Twisting to the left, arms come to the outside of the left leg. Exhale, back down. Taking out the center part. So inhale here, exhale, left leg lifts, twisting out to the right. Inhale, release. Exhale, right leg lowers, twisting to the left. Inhale, release. Exhale, left leg lowers. Inhale, release. Exhale to the left. Inhale, release. Go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side in Apanasana. And then beginning to rock forward and back for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, you can come up and over or swing your legs out to the side. We'll meet on all fours. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Wrist creases parallel or slightly turned out. Inhale, belly button drops, tailbone lifts, broadening through your collarbone into cow pose. Exhale, chin to chest, belly button to spine, lengthening your tailbone towards the back of your knees into cat. Creating space through your vertebrae. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, back to center. Exhale here. We're going to inhale, right leg lifts up behind us, left arm in front, palm facing towards the midline, toes and knees pointed down, belly engaged, hips are even with each other, so both hip points pointing towards the floor. Exhale, release, other side, inhale, right arm, left leg. Exhale, release. Left arm, right leg. Exhale, release. Right arm, left leg. Exhale, release. One more on each side. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, release. Neutral spine. So your belly's engaged. Right arm, left leg. Exhale, release. Pressing down into your hands, maybe a little more into the thumb and first finger, tucking your toes under, lifting your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bending your knees as much as you need to so you can lengthen your tailbone up towards the sky. Outer upper arms wrapping in nice and strong. The bottom of your exhale looking forward, hinge forward to plank pose. Always an option to place your knees down to the floor here. You might have to adjust bringing your feet back. We want our wrists right underneath of our shoulders. Hips parallel to the floor, so they're not hiking up or sinking down, but right in the middle. Hip points lifting up towards your low ribs. Pressing your thighs up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. Hinging forward slightly. Exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. Extend your hands down by your side, uncurl your toes. Exhale here, inhale, chest, shoulders, head lifts for half Shalabhasana. Exhale, lower down, creating space in your spine, lengthening forward, not just lifting up. So exhale here, inhale, lifting up. Crown of your head reaches forward as your tailbone reaches back, and lower down. Inhale, this time lifting your arms up, palms facing together. Breathing here. There's space in the back of your neck, so you're not craning your head up, but you're still gazing down towards the floor. Back of your neck's long. Exhale, lower down. Placing your hands under your shoulders, shoulder distance apart, then walking them back so your wrists are right underneath your shoulders. Still pressing down on the tops of our feet. Lifting our thighs up, tailbone lengthens down. Exhale here, inhale, upward facing dog. Outer upper arms wrapping in, pressing down through your hands. One more breath. Tucking your toes under, lifting from your inner thighs, up and back, downward dog. One more breath. Place your left knee down to the floor. Step your right foot up to the inside of your right hands. Hands come up to your right knee. And just gently allow your hips to come forward so that you're stretching through your left hip flexor here. That front heel is right behind your second toe. The knee stays right over top of your ankle. Hugging your outer hips in so that your right hip is not falling out to the right here. One more breath. Exhale, hands come down to either side of that front foot. Hips come back, lifting up on your right toes. Half Hanuman, Ardha Hanumanasana, just opening up the back of that right leg. Placing your right toes back down, walking your hands forward, bringing your right foot back, coming back into downward facing dog. So placing your knee down first is just an option to make it a little more accessible, to bring your opposite leg up to the front of the mat. You can skip that if you want. So you can just step your left foot forward, or again, you can place that right knee down, stepping your left foot to the inside of your left thumb. Taking a moment here to set it up, knee right over top of the ankle, hands come just to the top of that left knee, just gently, not really placing any pressure there. Lengthening your tailbone down here as you gently hinge forward, stretching through your right hip flexors. Outer left hip hugs in, so you're not letting it fall out to the side. One more breath. Bringing your hands back down to the floor, walking them back, lifting up on your left toes, Ardha Hanumanasana. Opening up through your left hamstrings. Breathing here. Walking your hands forward, stepping it back into downward facing dog. At the bottom of your exhale, looking towards your hands, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, stepping your feet back, plank pose, option to place your knees down. Hinging forward slightly, exhale, Chaturanga, halfway or all the way down. Inhale, Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, tucking your toes, lifting your hips up, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward to the inside of that right hand. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, hands come down to either side of that right foot. Let's take a little twist here. Left hand comes right underneath of our left shoulder. Inhale, Right hand towards the sky. Right hip keeps hugging in. One more breath here. Exhale, releasing that right hand down, stepping back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up to the inside of that left thumb. Right knee comes down to the floor. Inhale, arms forward and up. Low lunge. Exhale, hands come back down. Right hand right underneath of your right shoulder. Inhale, left hand to the sky. Twisting here, hugging that left hip in. Shoulders moving away from your ears. One more breath. Exhale, unwind. Stepping it back, downward facing dog. The bottom of your exhale, looking towards your hands, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, hips sink back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Heels right behind your second toe. Neutral spine here. Lengthening back through your sits bones. Lifting your hip points slightly away from your thigh bones. One more breath. Imagine you had a block between your knees. So you were squeezing that block, outer hips hugging in. Maybe sinking down a little bit further. Exhale, forward fold. From here, let's step our left foot back to the back of the mat. Heel toeing your right foot over to the midline, spinning your left heel down. So you're lined up heel to arch here. Inhale up, warrior one, or warrior two, excuse me. Pressing down evenly through that front foot, through all four corners. Knee is right over top of your ankle. Inner right knee moving over to the right. So if you look down, you can see your big toe, the inside of your knee here. Arms out to a T, shoulders over hips. So we're not leaning forward here, but right over top. Engaging through that back leg, that thigh lifting up into the thigh bone, pressing through that outer edge of that back left foot. If it doesn't cause any discomfort or stress in your neck, you can look out over your right hand. Breathing here. One more breath. We're going to inhale, lengthen through that front leg, straightening it, arms come up to the sky. Exhale, bend. Keeping that front hip point lifted up and away from that thigh bone. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Pausing here. Exhale, reach that right hand towards the right. Bringing your hand down wherever it reaches behind that right leg. Left hand comes up and over. Tailbone is now lengthening down towards that back heel. Finding length through both sides of your torso. So wherever your hand is, your side body, your right side body is long. That hip point moving away from that bottom rib cage. Exhale here, press through the big toe mat of that front foot, lift up on this quad, straighten that knee, coming into Trikonasana, triangle pose. That outer right hip, hugging in, rocking under. One more breath here. Exhale, bending that knee, coming back into side angle, looking down towards that right foot. Inhale, back up to warrior two. Gee, go ask daddy. One more breath. Exhale, hands come down to either side of that front foot, spinning your back heel up, step it back, downward facing dog. Outer arms hugging in. The bottom of your exhale, look towards your hands, walk, step or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Hips sink back, front hip points lift. Pressing down evenly into your feet, hugging your outer hips in. Outer upper arms, your triceps wrapping in. One more breath. Exhale, forward fold. It's Time stepping your right foot back, heel toeing that left foot over to the midline, spinning your right heel down, line to heel to arch here. Inhale up, warrior two, right foot forward. So tailbone lengthens down, pressing through the outer edge of that back foot as that right quad presses up into that thigh bone, arms come out to a T. Pressing a little more into the big toe mound of that front foot so that you can move your left knee over to the left. Gazing out over your left middle finger. That doesn't cause any stress or discomfort on your neck. One more breath here. Inhale, straightening through that left leg, arms come up overhead. Lifting that front hip point away from that thigh bone. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower, taking the full breath to make these movements. Nice, deep inhale. Arms lift up, straightening your left leg. Exhale, warrior two, pause. Still breathing here. Exhale, left hand towards the left wall, bring it down to the outside of that front leg. Right hand comes up. Tailbone now lengthening towards that back heel. This outer glute muscle wrapping down and under. Again, finding length between your left hip point and your left low ribs here. So you're not just trying to touch the floor and allowing your spine to bend, but it's nice and long. So you're reaching from the crown of your head up, down towards that back heel. Looking down towards that bottom foot. Press through the big toe mound, begin to straighten that front leg, lifting up on that quad, pressing your calf forward into your shin. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Keeping this hip squeezing in. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. And pause here. You can look up towards that top hand. Pressing down to the outer edge of the right foot. Lifting up on that quad, hugging your left hip under. Exhale, looking down to that left foot. Inhale, back up to warrior two. Exhale, hands down to either side of the left foot. Right heel pops up. Step it back, downward facing dog. Pausing here and breathe. Nice deep inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. Again, inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. One more, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh it out. Inhale forward to plank pose. Shoulders braid over wrist, pressing down through your thumb mound. And the first finger, heels reaching back. Broadening through your collarbone, lifting your front hip points towards your low ribs. Hinging forward slightly and exhale, upper arms wrapping in, chaturanga lowering all the way down. All right. Let's come up into Sphinx pose. So lengthening your tailbone towards the backs of your knees, down towards your heels, pressing down into the tops of your feet, lifting your hip points up. Walking your hands out so that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. Arms are extended right from your wrist. Breathing here, broadening through your collarbone, gently pulling your scapula, your shoulder blades together and forward into your ribs. Thinking of lifting your front hip points, your pubic bone, up towards your belly button. One more breath here. And exhale, lowering it back down. Bringing your hands shoulder distance apart, walking them back so that your wrists are under your elbows. Tuck your toes under. Really press down into your toes, lengthening your tailbone down and back. We're gonna do upward facing dog on the balls of our feet. So exhale here, inhale, pressing up, pressing down through your toes, your hands. Pressing your quads up into your thigh bones, broadening through your collarbone. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Breathing here.
three-legged dog right to hip height. Pressing that foot back like you were going to stand on the wall behind you, lifting up from your inner right thigh. Hips are still even here, so your right hip did not pop up over that left hip. Outer hips hugging in, your glute medius, like you had corn cob holders on the outside of your hips. One more breath. And exhale, knee to nose. Shoulders come over top of your wrist. Inhale, extend. Two more times. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to nose. Sending that right foot down to the inside of that right thumb. Feet are on railroad tracks here, so hips distance apart but spread out. Front heel right behind your second toe, knee over top of your ankle. That back ankle, your left ankle reaching back. Pressing that left thigh up into that thigh bone. Broaden through your collarbone here in this low lunge while you hug your outer hips in. One more breath like this. Inhale, arms forward and up. High lunge, little bend in that back knee so you can lengthen your tailbone down, protecting your low back. Go ahead, inhale, straighten both knees. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. And hold. One more breath. Exhale, bringing your hands back down to the floor or wherever they can reach. You can place that back knee down to the floor if you would like. We're gonna keep that back heel lifted. And if your hands are up on your knee, that's fine. Hands can be on your hips, just wherever is comfortable. We're gonna gently press through that big toe mound of this front foot, lifting up on that quad and straighten through this front leg. Keeping your right hip gently pulling away as you press into that right big toe. And exhale, bend it. Lunge. Inhale. Parsvottanasana. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. One more time, inhale, straighten. Pausing here, pressing through that big toe mound, lifting up on your right quad, pressing your right calf forward into your shin. Again, hands can gently rest on this leg, they can be on your hips. You can have that back knee down. One more breath. Exhale, bending that right knee, stepping it back, downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Left leg lifting up, three-legged dog. Pushing out through the back of that left heel, keeping your left hip in line with your right so it didn't creep up. Toes and knees pointing down to the floor, thigh lifting up towards the ceiling. Exhale, knee to nose, shoulders hinge forward over your wrist. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Last one, exhale, knee to nose. Placing that left foot down to the inside of the left thumb. Feet are on railroad tracks here, back heels lifted and stretching back. Left knee over top of left ankle, outer hips hugging in here, nice and firm. Think of broadening through your collarbone here, really straightening that back leg, pressing that right thigh up into that thigh bone. Next, inhale, arms come forward and up, high lunge, placing a micro bend in that right knee so you can lengthen your tailbone. Arms nice and straight, triceps wrapping in towards your face. Exhale here, inhale, straighten both legs, pressing down to the big toe mound of that front foot. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Hold in high lunge. Hips hugging in. Pressing down through the big toe mound, lifting up from your left thigh so that you can see your big toe mound right to the inside of your left knee. Exhale, hands come down wherever they can reach. So to the floor, to your thigh, hands on your hips. Stretching that back heel back. Exhale here, inhale, press through the left toe, lift up on your left quad, straightening through that left leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Last one, inhale, straighten. Hold here and breathe. Your knee doesn't have to come all the way straight. You can stay as bent as you start to feel the stretch through your hamstrings here. Press through that left toe as you gently reach that left hip crease back. Exhale, bend it down, planting your hands, stepping the left foot back, downward facing dog. One more breath here. The bottom of your exhale, look towards your hands. We're going to hinge forward, plank pose. Pressing into your hands. Your shoulder blades should be in a neutral position on your back. So we're not pressing into our hands so much that they're moving way out to the side. We're not squeezing them together so our chest drops, but we're right in here in the center. Pressing down through our hands, lifting through our armpits. Always an option to place your knees down to the floor. We're going to place our right elbow down where our right wrist is, left elbow down where our left wrist is. Pause here. Lengthening down through your tailbone. Hips are parallel to the floor. Front hip points lifting towards your low ribs. Thighs pressing up. Now, as your hip points lift up towards your low ribs, gently begin to bring your hips to the floor, uncurling your toes. Sphinx pose. Shoulder blades gently pressing forward into your ribs as you broaden across your collarbone, pressing down through your arms. See if you can think of getting all 10 toes on the floor. So you're pressing down to the tops of your feet like where your shoelaces would be if you were wearing sneakers. See if you can get your baby toe to touch the floor. All right, tucking our toes back under. Pressing down through the balls of our feet, lengthening your tailbone down, lifting up on your quads, come back up, forearm plank. One more breath here. Now without your hips wiggling all over the place, putting our right hand where our right elbow is, left hand where our left elbow was. Breathing here. Exhale here, inhale, lifting from your inner thighs, downward facing dog. Breathing here. The bottom of your exhale, look towards your hands, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms forward and up. Utkatasana, chair pose. Hugging your outer hips in. Imagining that you had like a block, a yoga block between your knees, so that your knees are pointing down from your hips. They're not squeezing in or falling out, but neutral in the hip socket. Lifting your hip points away from your thigh bones. One more breath. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Maybe jumping your feet back, landing in Chaturanga or stepping back to plank Chaturanga. cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Stepping your right foot forward between your hands, heel toeing it to the midline. Left heel comes down, inhale up, warrior two. Exhale here, inhale, straighten through that front knee. Spin your toes to be parallel to each other. So they're parallel with each other in the short edges of your mat. We're gonna take a forward fold here. Let's clasp our hands behind our back. So you want your palms together to clasp your hands. If you can't keep your palms together, you can interlace your thumbs, or you can just keep your hands on your hips with your elbows pointing back or towards the ceiling as we begin to fold. So pick the option that feels best in your body. Standing up nice and tall here, lifting up on your quads, pressing down through all four corners of your feet. Inhale, and as you lift up, begin to fold forward from your hips so your hip points are falling forward. Arms come up and over. Breathing here. Letting the weight come a little more forward into the balls of your feet so your outer hips stay right over top of your ankle. You can bend your knees here, but your knees come forward, your hips wouldn't go back, so that your hips stay right over top of your ankles again. Weights in the balls of your feet. Finding length in your spine, keeping your quads engaged. On your next exhale, you can release your hands down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, bringing your hands to your hips, elbows pointing up to the sky. Exhale here, inhale, all the way up to stand. We're gonna externally rotate our left leg, internally rotate our right leg. Warrior two, towards the left. So we're facing the opposite way of how we stood up. Exhale, hands come down to either side of that front foot. Step it back, downward facing dog. One more breath here. Exhale here. Inhale, hinge forward to plank. Again, it's an option to place your knees down to the floor. Hips come parallel to the ground. Nice long line from the crown of your head to the backs of your heels. We're gonna put our left elbow down where our left wrist is, right elbow where our right wrist is, forearm plank. Pressing your quads up, lifting your hip points towards your low ribs, setting your hips down to the floor, uncurling your toes, Sphinx pose. Pressing down through the tops of your feet, lifting up on your inner thighs. Tailbone lengthens back, so we're not just bending through our low back, but broadening across our collarbones, lifting your low bottom ribs away from your sacrum. So you're making space right here in your low back. One more breath. Curling your toes back under, pressing down through the balls of your feet, lifting up on your hip points, like you're engaging your tummy, belly button towards your spine. Lifting your hips back up, forearm plank. Placing your left hand where your left elbow was, right hand where your right elbow was. Exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Outer upper arms wrapping in, like you're closing off your armpits. Pressing down through your hands a little more into your thumb and your first finger. We're going to go from here right into dolphin pose. So a little bend in your knees so you can find length in your spine. Pressing through your hands, and see if you can, as you wrap your outer upper arms in, bring both of your elbows down to the floor. Dolphin. So it's like a downward facing dog on your forearms. One more breath here. Exhale, gently bring your knees down to the floor. Find child's pose, bringing your hips toward your heels. Press down through your hands, engaging your arms. So lifting your forearms up away from the floor, triceps wrapping in. Gently walk your hands in, up to a seated position. All right. So this time we're gonna do dolphin again, but we're gonna rearrange the position of our arms just because we don't have yoga blocks or things necessarily in our homes. So if you do, you can put a yoga block between your hands. But if you don't, we're gonna interlace our hands, kind of like we did for our wide-legged forward fold. But we're gonna interlace our hands, and then you're not pushing your hands, palms flat together, but you're making like a little cup so there's space between your palms, like you had, like you were holding, I don't know, a small furry creature that you didn't want to crush. So we're gonna bring our arms to the floor, hands interlaced. And if this is really uncomfortable for you, you can keep your hands flat to the floor like we just did in the last one. Or again, if you have a yoga block, you can hold it between your hands here. But we're interlacing our hands, and make sure that your inner wrists are stacked right over top of your outer wrists. So we're not letting our arms twist in or out. But you're pressing down through your forearms, triceps wrap in. Elbows are shoulder distance apart, so they're right underneath your shoulders, not way out here and not squeezing together. Knees can be right underneath of your hips. Pressing down through your arms, really pressing down as your upper arms wrap in. Tuck your toes under, lifting your hips up and back for dolphin. Maybe walking your toes in a little, making a little bend in your knees so you can walk them in a little bit more. Pressing down through your forearms, triceps wrapping in. Making sure that there's space in your neck so you're not crunching your shoulders up way by your ears, but that your shoulder blades are sliding gently down your back. Now you can stay right here if this is enough for you, or you can bring your right leg right up to the three-legged dolphin. Breathing here. So making sure that your hips are still even, so your leg didn't just turn out, but your toes and knees are pointing down to the floor. One more breath. Exhale, bringing your right foot back down to the floor. And inhale, opposite leg, left leg lifts. Pressing down still through your forearms as you lift that leg up. Outer hips really hugging in here. Engaging your glute medius. Toes and knees still pointing down, so again, not externally rotating that leg. Legs are neutral in the hip socket. One more breath. Exhale, release that leg back down to the floor. Gently bring your knees back down and find child's pose again. Just wherever your arms are comfortable, down by your sides or extended overhead. Just breathing here. Gently sit up. And then just bring your legs around. We're gonna start with Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Bringing the balls of your feet together. You can gently open your knees out to the side. If you have a towel or yoga blanket, a block, anything like that, feel free to sit up on it so you have a little space. It'll help if you're tight through your hip flexors. Sitting up nice and tall. And exhale, gently hinging forward from your hips. Finding space through your spine.
Inhale, coming back up to a seated position. Use your hands to bring your knees back to the center. We're going to extend our left leg in front of us, sitting up nice and tall here. And exhale, gently twisting to the right. So you can bring that left arm around your right leg. Right hand's going to come right behind your right hip. You can gaze out over that right shoulder if that feels okay in your neck, meaning it doesn't cause any pain or discomfort or stress. One more breath. Go ahead and unwind. Extend that right leg forward. Hug your left knee in. Sitting up nice and tall. Exhale. Twisting to the left. Right arm wraps around that left leg. Left arm comes right behind your left hip. Making space through your spine here. And gaze back over that left shoulder. Thinking of lifting your low back ribs away from your hips, your sacrum. One more breath. Inhale, unwind. And we'll go ahead and gently lay down to the floor. So making sure there's room behind you on your mat. Come on down. Plant your feet flat to the floor. And we're going to cross our right ankle over our left knee. Just gently opening up your right leg to the right. If you need a little bit more, you can bring that left knee in toward your left shoulder, interlacing your hands behind your hamstrings or up and over your shin. Flexing your feet here. Keeping your low back on the ground, so not letting it lift up as you lift your legs. Exhale, release your left foot back onto the floor. Uncross your right, opposite side, so keeping your right foot down to the floor, crossing your left ankle over your right knee. Gently opening up your hip here. And then if you need a little bit more, just bringing that right knee in towards your right shoulder, interlacing your hands behind your hamstring or over your right shin, flexing your feet. Exhale, releasing your right foot down to the floor, uncrossing your left. Go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side, massaging your low back. Arms can come out to a T or like cactus or goalpost if you don't have enough room for a T. We're going to gently allow our knees to fall over to the left, stacking our hips one on top of the other. You might need to bring your hips over towards the midline a little bit. Breathing here in a nice twist. Gently inhale your knees back up through center. Adjust your hips over to the left a little bit. And then gently allow your knees to fall over to the right, stacking your hips
on top of each other here. Inhaling your knees back up through center, hugging your knees into your chest, taking happy baby. So reaching your hands up for the outer edges of your feet, or maybe your peace fingers around your big toes, keeping your low back on the floor. It's also an option here to have your hands behind your hamstrings. One more breath. Bring your feet to the floor. You can extend your legs down for Shavasana, final relaxation pose. Releasing your hands down by your side. Or just finding any position where you feel comfortable. Getting out any last fidgets. We're going to take a few moments here just to intentionally clear our mind, really seal in our practice. You can close your eyes if that feels right for you. Just allow your body to feel heavy on your mat. And allow your breathing to be natural. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. You can bring your awareness back to your breath. And gently beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Hugging your knees into your chest. Gently rolling over to the right hand side. Press yourself back up to a seated position. Just finding a comfortable spot on your mat. We'll take a few breaths together here before we complete our practice. Nice deep inhale, scooping your arms up overhead. And exhale, taking the full breath to bring your hands down through heart center. Inhale, arms reach out overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. One more time, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Namaste. And thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed your practice. I will be back at 10 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday morning, and then for total body conditioning, it's Friday at 5. Have a great
great week.